Buying a new construction home is the ultimate dream for a lot of home buyers today, and for very good reason. I mean, you get to be the very first person to ever live in the home. You kind of know going in that you're not going to be looking at any surprise expenses for repairs, and everywhere you look, everything is just shiny, fresh, and new. Which is why a whole lot of people who call me to help them buy a home are looking for new construction. But there are some things that you might not know about buying a new construction home, so that's what I'm talking about today. Hi there, I'm Stephanie Frost, and I'm a real estate agent in Ocala, Florida. And this is where I talk about all things real estate in the Ocala and Marion County, Florida area. So if this is your first time here, take a second to like and subscribe, because I do this nearly every week, and that way you won't miss anything good. So you're thinking about buying a new construction home. Well, the first question should be, what kind of new construction home is going to be the right fit for your needs? And for most people, more than likely the answer is going to be either a semi-custom home or a spec home, depending on their situation. So today we're going to talk a little bit about buying a semi-custom home. If you got a little bit of time on your hands before you need to move into your new home and you'd like to do a little bit or maybe a whole lot of customization, then a semi-custom home is probably what you're looking for. In a semi-custom home, some of the structure and features are set, but you're going to be able to customize other features and areas to suit your sense of style. The builder generally has several different home plans to choose from, and after you settle on one, you might also have some options to change the outside look of the home, maybe by adding some exterior stonework or shutters or even something like a big bay window. You'll probably get to choose your exterior paint colors and maybe even the type and color of your shingles too. And FYI, the exterior look of the home is called the elevation. So the next time you hear the builder's rep talking about the elevation, now you know what the heck they're talking about. But back to the point at hand. Another handy feature with a semi-custom build is that a lot of times you'll have some options for the interior layout of the home, variations on the basic floor plan. For instance, you may be able to take one of the bedrooms and make it into an office area with French doors, or maybe reconfigure a bedroom and bath area to allow for a full in-law suite. Sometimes you can extend the garage or even bump out an entire wall in order to give the home more square footage. You might even have options for how tall your ceilings and doors are, which, believe it or not, makes a huge difference in how spacious and open the house feels. You're also going to get some choices for cabinet styles and finishes, flooring, types of countertops and faucets, and usually even lighting fixtures too. You might even get some options as to paint colors on the walls. Of course, the number and type of options that you get are pretty dependent on the price point of the home. If you're looking at a higher-end builder, you're likely going to have a whole lot more options than you will with a more budget-friendly builder, who may offer only a few basic choices of elevations and interior finishes. You'll also get to choose the lot that you want your home to sit on, and some of that will depend on what size house you're building, because generally a builder reserves larger lots for their larger homes. And of course, the lots with the better view, the corner lots, the lots on the water or the golf course, they're going to be more expensive than the average lot, so there's going to be a range of pricing there too. And with a semi-custom home, you can have two basic options depending on the builder. Some semi-custom builders only build on lots that they already own in their own development. They only build in the developments that they own, so no matter how much you like their homes, if you want one, you better be prepared to live in the community that they build in, because they aren't even going to consider building on your land that you already own. But there are a few semi-custom builders that not only build in their own developments, they also build on lots that they own in other areas. And a few of them will even build a home for you on your lot, as long as that lot is within the general area that they already build in. But regardless, the one thing that all semi-custom homes have in common is that they are going to take some time before they're ready for you to move in. Usually 8 to 10 months, and sometimes even longer, depending on how backlogged the builder is. So if you need to move into your new home right away, then a semi-custom home isn't going to be the right fit for you. But if you do have the time, what's the process for buying one? Well, first of all, you're probably getting the idea right about now that a lot of variables go into the price of a semi-custom home. And you'd be right. So when you drive by the sales center and see that sign with all the banners happily proclaiming that they have homes starting in the 200,000s, well, take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, they probably do have homes starting in the 200,000s. Usually 299,000 to be exact, for the base model with no upgrades and no changes. And usually before you add in the price of the lot. So when they say starting, they really mean starting, because that price will probably be a good bit higher by the time you finish. And when you walk into that sales center, all excited to look at the beautiful model homes, you also got to remember that that oh-so-friendly salesperson who greets you at the door works for the builder. They represent the builder in everything, and it is their job to sell you that home and get you to sign on the dotted line. It is not their job to look out for your best interests in any way. That's what a buyer's agent is for. That's why they're called a buyer's agent. A buyer's agent is your representative there to protect your best interests, and I highly suggest that you have one with you whenever you visit a model home center or a builder open house. Because the first thing that a sales rep at the model home center is going to do is ask you to register. And if you do that without your buyer's agent, well, then the builder figures that you're their customer, and they will not honor any outside representation that you might want. Now, obviously, if you're buying your new home here in the Marion County area, I personally think that having me to represent you would be a really smart move. But if I'm not your cup of tea, then by all means find an agent who is, and just don't go it on your own. Once you've decided which home you want and what lot you're going to put it on, then the next step is to sign a contract for sale. Notice I didn't say that you're going to make an offer for the home, because that's a very important distinction. Builders in general do not do a lot of negotiating on price. They have a set price, and pretty much you can agree to that price, or you can move on to the next home. And cash is not going to be king in this case. It's going to be the same price either way. And the reason that they won't negotiate is because if they do, well, home sale prices are a matter of public record. So if they cut one buyer a deal, then that lowers the comparable sales of their other homes. And the other reason they don't negotiate price is that, right now at least, they don't have to. But even if a builder won't negotiate on price, a lot of times they are willing to sweeten the pot in other ways. Things like credits towards upgrades or closing costs, or even buying down a buyer's points in order to get them a lower interest rate. And right now, that one is a really popular option for a whole lot of buyers. And while we're talking about financing, don't be surprised if a builder asks that you qualify for the purchase through their lender. They aren't forcing you to finance through their lender, but having their lender qualify you is a way for them to verify that you will be able to get financing to buy the home and that there won't be any last-minute surprises at closing time. So back to signing that pesky contract. Well, odds are that the builder has their very own sales contract written up by their very own lawyers to make sure that the builder is protected no matter what happens. So that contract is pretty heavily weighted in the builder's favor. Generally, it has wording that says if the builder can't guarantee the time it takes for construction or the closing date, because they are at the mercy of the weather, supply issues, and labor shortages. But that applies to the builder and not to the buyer. The buyer is required to meet any and all deadlines or face a penalty. There are no provisions that allow the buyer to extend or delay the closing date either. Depending on your situation and the builder themselves, they might be willing to work with you to a point. But by contract, they aren't obligated to. So make sure that you're committed to buying that home before you sign on the dotted line. Because once you do, you are committed. And if you default, you're going to lose your deposit. No ifs, ands, or buts, no do-overs, no refunds. If you back out of a builder's contract for pretty much any reason, just resign yourself to the fact that any money you put down is gone. In extremely rare cases, some larger builders may allow you to roll that deposit over into another home that they're building, but that's unusual, so I wouldn't count on it. Now, you sign the contract and you're ready to move forward. So next is the fun part, the design appointment, where you get to choose all that nifty stuff that's going into your new home. Just remember that every single thing that you pick has a price tag attached, and it's pretty easy to blow your budget on stuff. So before you go, try to have a clear idea of your must-haves and your would-like-to-haves, and add in the must-haves first. Then you'll know what else you can add after you get the totals for that part. And don't forget about lighting, plumbing, and electrical outlets, because the basic floor plan may not have as many as you need or have them where you want them. And even if you don't buy the actual fixtures for the builder, make sure that the electrical is in place for when you add them after closing. And here again, make sure that you don't miss anything, because you generally can't make changes later. And in the rare event that you can, it's going to cost you a lot. At this point in the process, you're pretty much done for a while, and you can relax. While you're relaxing and dreaming about your new home, the builder will be getting the necessary permits and starting the build process. And in most cases, the builder won't take kindly to your being there too often, and certainly not unescorted, which is understandable. I mean, it is a construction site, so there are insurance issues, and also you don't want to interrupt the workers. Let them stay focused on building you the best home possible. Now, after that, the next time you visit your new home will probably be for what's called the pre-drywall inspection. And this is right before the drywall goes up and everything is still visible and exposed. And this is when you check to make sure that everything you asked for as far as electrical and plumbing is actually in place and where you asked for it to be. If you paid for extra bracing for a grab bar or a television set, this is the time to make sure it's there before it gets hidden by the drywall. This is also the time to make sure that if you asked for a tiled shower, that they didn't accidentally put in a shower insert by accident. Right now, if any of those things are wrong, they're an easy fix. But later on, not so much. So pay attention now. The next time you see your new home will probably be right before closing, at the pre-closing orientation. And this is when a representative from the builder will walk you through your new home, give you a brief rundown on how everything works and how to maintain everything, and where to find things like the water shutoff for your new home. This is also your opportunity to go through the home with a representative and look for any obvious issues like dented appliances, windows that won't open, missing paint on walls or cabinets, holes in the walls or ceiling where there shouldn't be holes, missing light fixtures or window screens. Point out anything that you see or don't see in the case of something missing. Usually there's not much at all, but every once in a while something slips through. And once they have a list, then the builder will try and get everything repaired before closing, if possible. But for larger things like appliances, they may have to do it after closing. And that happens sometimes, no big deal. Nothing to worry about. Odds are, you're not going to have to worry about it anyway. Because most builders are really good at getting everything squared away before closing. They may have to put a few extra guys on to finish everything in time, but if need be, they'll usually do it. It's rare that I've had any outstanding issues after closing, and usually those are supply related, like a replacement appliance that didn't show up on time or something like that. So at this point, the only thing left is the closing table. You'll have one last walkthrough of the home just to make sure that all the stuff you found at the orientation got fixed, and then you'll head over to sign the paperwork and get the keys to your new home. So that's a pretty basic overview of the process, but I think I hit all the high notes anyway. So if you have any questions about buying a new construction home or which neighborhoods might be the best fit for your budget or your lifestyle, you know where to find me, and I'm happy to help. Believe it or not, I've actually helped more than a few clients out with buying new construction homes, so I'm pretty familiar with both the builders and the process. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.